Since your textbook does a fabulous job of exposing you to most every area of language and literacy, I want to concentrate on one area of research. Dr. Hart and Dr. Risley wrote this book to explain their findings in a rather unique study. Dr. Hart was a preschool teacher herself, as you can see her with her class in the late 50s. She was concerned that so many of her children came to school lacking simple vocabulary. She went back to school at the University of Kansas and became involved in early intervention research. Some of her initial research was used to help start Head Start. She was a graduate assistant for Dr. Todd Risley. She began to believe that maybe vocabulary development happened in the home before children even came to school, a fact that we take for granted today. She coordinated this study. It is known that a child's vocabulary is a main contributor to later school success. In order to determine what happened in the home, Dr. Hart and her research associates had to go into the home. This is a time-consuming and often expensive research. You seldom find studies that undertake such a task, even today. They began to select participants from birth notices in the local paper. They started with 50 families and ended up with 42. As you can see here, they tried to gauge for equal distribution over income, race, and gender. They spent considerable time thinking about what they would be observing. We talk all day, every day. They determined that most children are awake for 110 hours a week. That's how much time there is in a week, experience time, they called it, for children to hear and observe language. What are these experiences? So these were the kinds of observations they decided to record. What people were saying to each other, what was said to the child, what was said to each other in the child's presence, what the child was doing even before the talking started, and nonverbal interactions as well. The first major finding was that all families used what they termed business talk. This is intentional talk. Talk to get things done. I know you're hungry. Take the dog for a walk. Where's your father? And then there was the other talk. Families that used this kind of talk as well as business talk were labeled talkative. They carried on conversations with their children even when the child could not yet speak. They described what they were doing. They asked open-ended questions. They listened to what the child said and often elaborated on the conversations or situations. Dr. Risley referred to this as dancing language because both partners sustain the dance or the conversation. What they recorded was that an average child hears 1,500 words an hour. Children in talkative families heard 2,100. Here's where the 30 million words come in. An average child, figuring 100 hours a week, will have 30 million words addressed to them by the time they are 4 years old. Children from talkative families heard 48 million words, and children from the non-talkative families heard 13 million. Interesting. So, what does all this mean? When parents and/or caregivers talk to their children, they are listening to them. This goes for us as teachers as well. Children listen to our words and they imitate us. We need to have conversations with our children. We need to talk until our mouths hurt. Most importantly, we need to convince parents how important all of this is. Now you know what high-quality empirical research looks like. You have a summary in the module and a video from Dr. Riesling. You will see this research mentioned often. It is a classic.